Welcome to Make Pods Great Again. I'm your host, John Woolley, content creator for the Instagram page Make Wads Great Again. Back with my bestie, Nikki. Nikki, hello.
Hi.
It's been a whole 12 hours since we chatted, I think.
I know it's been too long.
I know, and this is going to be a fun podcast for me because I'm the only one on this podcast that doesn't have a top knot tonight. We have Jessica Griffith with us, who has your hairdo going on. So how's it going, Jess?
It's going so good. It's a freaking beautiful night here in Ozark, Missouri, and I get to hang out with you guys. Can't complain.
Aww.
Wow, I've never been.
I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to us.
Isn't it? I know. I've never been to Ozark, Missouri. I grew up in the South, but I've never really. I think I've been through Missouri, but I've never really actually been there before.
Really?
Now
See,
I'm
I
feeling
actually
homesick.
have lived in both of your guys' states. I was born in Providence, Rhode Island, and I actually lived in Columbus from 1st to 8th grade.
Oh wow!
Look at that.
I know.
Well, so why Missouri now then? Is that where the family is these days?
Yeah, so the joke growing up was like my parents' hobby was to move. So people are like, were you in the military? And I'm like, no, they just love to move. So I was born in Providence. My dad had a house up in New Hampshire, so we moved up to the ski shack for a little bit, moved back to Rhode Island. My dad got a job transfer out to Columbus, so we lived out there for 8 years. Moved back to Rhode Island, and then extended family was in Rhode Island, so we kept we'd move somewhere and then we moved back. And then I went to Christian College in Springfield, Missouri in fall of 2009, and then the whole family ended up moving out here because 3 of us 4 kids went to that school. And my mother has separation anxiety and couldn't stand that 3 of her 4 babies were halfway across the country. So they all moved out here, and we've been out here ever since. So just a little over 10 years now. It's crazy.
Where was the 4th? Like who got the short stick where the whole family went out there and then this one sibling was out on their own?
That was Peach. So in my family, we all have hilarious nicknames. So my little sister, her name is Jacqueline, but even on her high school diploma, I'm pretty sure it was Jacqueline Peach Griffith. So when you see me referring to Peach, it's my little sister. But yeah, she probably wouldn't say she got the short end of the stick because she hates school. And so having to go to the university, was not really her thing. However, she actually is enrolled at that school now that I think of it online, but it's, online, a little bit different. So. But yeah, 3 of us 4 kids were all out that school. And honestly, I always say, I love the ocean. Rhode Island will always have such a dear place in my heart. But man, especially the past 3 weeks being in quarantine, I'm I am really digging Missouri. Look how it's just so beautiful. It looks like that everywhere around here. Just trees and nature and peaceful and farms and cows, and I'm this is kind of if this was my next chapter in life, I am a-okay with that.
Yeah, we are smack dab in the middle of mud season here in New England. Where it's 40 and raining every day, and summer will be here for 5 minutes before we go right back into the freezing temperatures. Why?
I know, but you can't Narragansett Beach, you can't.
Yeah, that's true.
Those beaches are freaking amazing.
They're awesome.
And then Ohio, you just get screwed.
We get clouds 300 days out of the year. It's just cloudy all the time. And I'm not exaggerating. It snowed 4 days ago. Swear to God. It's
right.
Yes, we had snow 3 days in a row. And then it got up to 60 degrees and I went out, literally the snow melted and I went out and mowed the yard the next day. That's what it's like in Ohio. Weird. Yeah, it's terrible. It's a horrible place to live. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think that's the Midwest though, because Missouri is like that too. This is actually the best spring we have ever had in the 10 years that I've been out here, as far as consistency and nice weather. But usually it's a lot like that. But no, thank you.
So you quarantined there. You got the family around. How's it been? How's this whole situation been treating you?
Good. Yeah. So I have an apartment 20 minutes away, but I'm why would I quarantine by myself when I've got my family and Peach, she is actually living out in San Diego right now. her fiance's out there, and she ended up coming home because my family just felt that she was going to be safer here. It was really bad. Like, things were really bad in California.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we just kind of want you home. So her fiance ended up driving her back out here to Missouri, and she's been hanging out here. So I'm like, my family's here. My little sister's in town that I, haven't seen her since September. So I've just been quarantining out at my parents' house. We set up our lovely little garage gym here.
Wow, look at
Nice.
that.
I've got my coffee pot, my family, and my gym. Like, what? I have no reason. Like, I had to go check on my apartment the other day because I literally hadn't been there in like 2.5 weeks. I'm like, I should probably go look at that, make sure it's okay. Everything was, no robbers had broken in.
Good.
No pipes had burst. Like, we were good to go. Yeah, I mean, you guys see, Instagram. My life is usually crazy and traveling and competing and doing all the things. And this has forced me to like literally just stay home. And I freaking love it. Like, I am almost like, the gym opens on Monday and I'm like, I miss my friends, but I've really been enjoying just working out at home and in the sunshine, and I can go in, I'm not on an agenda. I can do whatever I want, when I want, at whatever intensity I want. And it's been like freaking awesome. and I could I have nutrition clients and have been able to like skyrocket my client intake, which has kept me busy. And so just like trying to be productive and taking advantage of the downtime, enjoying my family so freaking much. And just like, I forgot what life was like not traveling and just like being smoked all the time from just crazy CrossFit life,
No,
so
I totally agree. I totally
Yeah.
understand. And I sound like kind of an asshole when I'm like, quarantine's not that bad, because some people are definitely having like a hard time with it. And I respect that, but it's like, when you have a lot of projects going on, like, you're training and you're prepping and you have clients and you have, I always have like a ton of work to do for different types of projects. So like the fact that I can kind of do it all throughout the day whenever I want to. And like, I've cut out travel, I've cut out like commuting time. I can sort of train when I want, do my work when I want, and like have my husband and my dogs around. Like, it hasn't it's been a few crazy years as all the CrossFit stuff, the season and sanctionals and games has been ramping up over the last couple of years. Like, our lives have gotten insane. So I'm like, no, man. I mean, I miss people, and like, I miss like just going out and grabbing a drink like that. I do miss, but for the most time, I'm like crushing life right now in the quarantine situation, I think.
Heck yeah.
I love quarantine life.
Do
Love
you?
it. Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, so we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah, I was working out in my basement. I have a great gym here at home, kind of like yours. It's all in my basement. I was working out down there today, and I was doing squats. And one of my squats, I could tell. You ever have one where you're like, okay, that wasn't below parallel.
Yeah.
But there wasn't.
No, I've never had one of those actually.
Well, I know Jess hasn't, but I have them all the time. The difference is when you're in your home gym, nobody yells at you. No one. It's great.
Okay.
It's
Count
so
it.
Best
Count
efforts.
it.
Best efforts.
It's funny you say that, because I literally had an overhead squat workout today, and I'm like, Jess, hit your movement standards. Like, I was like, do I have no, I'm going below parallel. Like, I'm for sure going.
Sure,
it's
for
like,
sure.
hold yourself accountable.
It's great. I hold all the PRs in my home gym. Every single one.
Wow. Your name on the board constantly.
I dominate that bitch. It's great. It's great. No, I do like it though. I mean, I miss my friends too, and I miss the gym.
Yeah.
I miss like the camaraderie, and I tell you what I do miss. This is going to sound a little weird, but I miss seeing like we have a lot of kind of older clientele at Cliffside, and I miss seeing the progress that some of the older people make. Like, it's kind of fun to see these husband and wives are in their like 60s and 70s, and they're coming in and they're getting fit together. Like, it's kind of fun to watch them do their thing. And clearly I can't get that here, even though I'm getting really close to that age. I miss like seeing other people's progress, but otherwise it's great. I can work out with my shirt off. I can come upstairs, watch Netflix for a few minutes if I want to. It's fantastic. It's the best.
I don't, I hear where you're coming from, but I don't have that because I've been coaching Zoom classes for my gym. So I'm still seeing a little bit of the like, oh, good. Like you really are doing that movement at home, or like you really are progressing in this. And for the people who are committed, and I know not everyone can do it, you just can't bring themselves and it's weird to be on camera or whatever. But for the people who are committed, I am still seeing progress, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. And I will say, again, I think we're all in the same boat here about loving quarantine and like you kind of miss your friends, but you're like, I'm really okay. So my training partner Bailey, it was her birthday a couple weeks ago, April 19th. So we did the drive-by parade where we all drove by and honked our horns and made signs and stuff. And obviously, like, I couldn't help but get out and hug her. I'm like, I'm this close to you, and like, I just have to get out and hug you. And I tell you what, I haven't hugged anybody in quarantine. Like, I'm with my family. Like, I'm not, like, we're in the house. We don't hug each other. To hug a human, it was the strangest thing that has ever happened to me.
Did it feel weird?
It was just, like, so nice. Just to, like, hold a human in my arms. Like,
oh, you're making me sad now because I've literally not hugged my daughters in, like, a month and a half.
You should go hug them and just hold them for, like, 4 seconds. And it was like, man, I didn't realize like how much I missed hugging someone, you know?
I'd really like to, but I'm in that vulnerable age and they're probably carriers. So I don't, I don't want them to kill me. That's my thing. I hug Bean. I have a cat. I hug him. It's same thing.
No, you're so right though, because I find that like sometimes when, like we're watching TV or something and I even see like on the TV like a whole group of people somewhere together or like people like hugging or touching or whatever on the screen, I'm like, oh, you guys shouldn't be all like in the same room. Like it's definitely like kind of starting to mess with the normal that is in my brain. Not that there's any normal in my brain.
I've gotten so judgy. Like anytime I set foot in a store, like first of all, you don't even know if you can go down the same aisle as somebody else now. Like it's just weird to even be in the same like vicinity as somebody. And then God forbid they don't have a mask. Now
I was gonna say, are you guys wearing masks in the stores?
We have to.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And if somebody doesn't have one on, I get all judgy now. Like
they won't let you in the stores here without them on.
Oh no way.
Well, because we're so close to New York where it's like the complete shitstorm.
Yeah.
They won't let you do anything without a mask here.
It's a weird moment. I mean, I work in banking, and so now we're insisting people wear masks into the bank. You know, it's like I've been trained for 2 decades now. If someone comes in with a mask, you hit the panic button.
Right.
And now it's the opposite. You know, like no, please put on a mask and a hoodie. Okay. You know, so weird.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting for like confidentiality and security purposes. Now that you say that.
Yeah, it's so much that's weird about it for us. Yeah. It's a real awkward moment. We're getting through it, and I think it seems like it's easing, at least here in Ohio. Like Ohio is certainly not anywhere near like New York, you know, from an impact. So it's easing on us, but we'll see. I look good in the mask though. I look like Bane. It's awesome.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
I know.
Cool.
It's the bald head. It's a very good look.
Yeah,
there you go.
Badass. Yeah. So what's training been like for you? Obviously you have to, force yourself to stay accountable, but outside of that, like, do you train like with a goal given how weird and uncertain the season is, or like how does that affect you moving forward here?
It's been super weird. And, I've obviously had a lot of time to evaluate this question, and this is kind of like the hot topic question and have had, plenty of people ask. And it's been super interesting because right before quarantine happened, I was training for Wadapalooza and West Coast Classic, which it's like equivalent to, for me at the time, was like equivalent to games training. Yeah. Super intense, super strict, super hard every single day. And then everything gets canceled, shut down with no end in sight. And so for the first couple of weeks, we were all moping around, super unmotivated. And like, there were tons of conversations like, what are we training for? Why are we killing ourselves? Should we be taking time off and, taking our off season? Like, what does this mean? And especially for me, because I'm not qualified as of right now. And, so watching the timeline unfold, we're it's still just so up in the air of like, what the heck does it mean for, they've said they're going to have the games, which I think is great. I think, it's sad that there's not going to be spectators, but I think it's a really cool, I think going to the games this year will be a really cool year to be a part of and to be an individual athlete at the games because of the circumstances. I think it's going to be super intimate and it would be cool to be a part of. But yeah, it's just, so for me, it's like, am I going to have an opportunity to qualify? Will they do a last minute online qualifier? Are they even going to take all the people who are currently qualified? Are they going to allow all of them to compete? Like, how many athletes are they going to let compete? So just like all of these questions, all these potential scenarios. And so for me, just trying to navigate those unknown questions, so training, I do Misfit programming, and we've got our text thread that we text every day, our scores and what we're doing. It's like Chandler Smith, Travis Williams, those guys. And so I've been doing all of the programming with the equipment that I have. The intensity has probably not been what it has been. I've been a lot nicer to myself. However, like I said, I just came off of training for sanctionals. And so to compare the two, I don't think I'm necessarily being fair to myself when I'm like assessing my intensity, because it's like, okay, you're comparing to what you just came off of, and that was so intense, high intense, and that's only sustainable for so long, So again, it's just kind of like, to me, it hasn't been as intense as it probably should be, but again, I'm comparing to sanctionals training. So
yeah,
I'm getting, today I had a super long draining session. And I'm kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of moving because there's nothing really else to do. And I love to work out anyway. So should a qualifier opportunity come up for me, I hope I do good, but I'm not, I'm just being honest. I don't know how I would stack up right now. I was in the best shape of my life at Wadapalooza. But yeah, as of right now, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. And maybe that's not necessarily the right answer, but I don't know. I'm just trying to be nice to myself. And
yeah, you think you have a good handle on it? Because like, to me, sometimes having so many unknowns is like overwhelming to the point where I would just be like, yeah, fuck it, like screw it.
Right.
I don't know, I'm outside, I'm done. So the fact that you're like, well, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna keep moving and keep doing my thing. I got my programming, and we'll just see what happens. Like, I think you got a really good handle on it so that you can stay sane around all of the unknowns.
Yeah, and that's a thing. And it's like, sometimes I do feel like ramping it up and killing myself, and some days I'm like, this is a 25-minute workout and I'm just gonna cruise it because that's what I feel like doing, because it's better than doing nothing, So just kind of being okay with listening to my body and slowing down when I feel like it, where in regular training I would try to push through that barrier.
I want to be like, look, John, games athletes, they're just like us. Because I feel like that's all of us in quarantine. Like, oh, my coach gave me this 5-minute AMRAP. Oh, my coach gave me this 20-minute AMRAP. I'm just gonna cruise through it because I'm just body watching.
You know what? I've been cruising through workouts now for like, I don't know, 10 years. But actually, for the last, because I don't have coaches around, not very few of my workouts are intense, but I did a really intense one today, and I was grabbing my knees in round 2, and I'm like, what am I doing to myself? Like, right. why am I doing this? I have a coffee pot upstairs. I've got a couch. Like, there's no reason to do this. I'm 49 years old. I'm not training for anything.
Mm-hmm. What has been super interesting though is this, I've been doing CrossFit for 7 years now, and I'm kind of getting to that point where I do think I have a couple of years left of competing in me, but you never know like when that day will come when you're done competing. And I've wondered how I would respond when that day comes, and am I going to be okay with leaving this lifestyle behind? And like, it has been super eye-opening to me that with quarantine, that yes, like I'm kind of excited for the next chapter, and I kind of can't wait. I love the lifestyle I live and I love competing, but this has allowed me to recognize that I will be okay to get to that point where like I have a family to take care of and I can cruise workouts, and it's not, working out is not the priority. So that's kind of been like cool and eye-opening in this experience.
That's so neat. And I
Yeah.
love that you have had so many different experiences as well. Like obviously you were in, the whole nursing game before going into CrossFit full time. And I'm wondering if that sort of, do you have any of the feels now that you kind of came from that medical background and the world is going through the craziness that it is right now?
Well, the worst part about all this is I've had a couple people reach out and ask if I am going to go back to nursing in this crazy COVID time. And I feel so selfish by saying no.
I would
and
not feel selfish for
uh,
that.
and it's like I feel like it's asking for a death wish. And I'm so grateful for like the frontliners and all the healthcare providers, and even like not just the healthcare providers, like the janitors and like housekeeping and the linen people. Like there are so many people that are putting themselves on the line, and I have a license to go out there and do it too, and I'm not. And like, is that wrong? Like, so that's kind of been something I've been wrestling with too, is, am I being selfish by not going back into it and helping during this time? But I honestly just feel like it's a death wish. And I do feel like, I feel like God pulled me out of it in 2018, maybe as protection against this, I don't know. But I have not had any desires to go back and do it. And, even speaking, what does the next chapter of my life look like? People ask all the time, will I go back to nursing? I don't know. I mean, if I have to, I will. It's a great backup plan. And I'm super grateful that I've got a nursing license in my back pocket should I need it to support, my life. I would love to maybe go back to school and become a CRNA. Like that's an option. It's a great career to have because there are so many options with it. So if I would love to stay in the fitness industry as long as I can, but like I said, it's a great backup plan to have. But as of right now, I'm good with fitness.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And I don't think it's selfish. I do think that it's incredible the people who put themselves out there every single day and the people who have an internal wish to be on the front lines. Like thank God for them. And I'm always going to be grateful for the people that are out there who are like that, because I'm not like that and I need them to survive. But like, as someone who loves people who work in that field, like I don't want to see my loved ones going out there and being on the front line in harm's way either. So I'm not mad about the fact that you're not. I would be like, oh God, no, please don't.
I don't think anybody thinks you have to, go.
No.
I mean, everybody knows that you did that before, Jess, but nobody thinks you need to go back and do that. At least I don't think you need to. And Nikki's implying it, but I'm not. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I know. The truth is,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. I wouldn't want anyone that I love, because even my husband talks about, like, because he's a pharmacist, going out and being like, where do they need help? And if they set up extra beds somewhere, could I like come in and alleviate some of the, prescriptions of things that the nurses can get back to work? And I'm like, that's beautiful that you have that drive in you, but please don't. Like, I don't want people that I love exposed. It's a really weird, scary time.
I think the thing for a lot of you guys that are games athletes, that I hope you all recognize is the impact you make on a day-to-day basis of people that see what you do, that want to do that start to seek out healthier lifestyles because they see what you've accomplished. So I think you make the impact that you're making doing what you're doing without having to go back and, jump into the front lines of it. I mean, if you're called to do that, go do that too. But if you're clearly not, like, you're making a gigantic impact where you are. So I don't think people have to go do that.
Especially, the more we talk about how like healthier, active bodies are surviving this so much better than, bodies with, obviously the comorbidities are an issue, but obesity can be a comorbidity, and all sorts of unhealthy things that come with not having, healthy cardiovascular systems and lungs that know how to handle breathing heavy and all the stuff that we work on. So
yeah. And that's kind of been my mission. And, I do feel like I'm wired I just have such a passion and desire to help people. And that's why I went into nursing and left nursing, because I didn't feel like I was truly helping people. And I say this all the time. It was like, I'm just putting Band-Aids on people's problems, and I'm a problem solver. Like, I don't want to take shortcuts. Like, I want to take the long way around and fix the problem at the root of it. And that's what I have loved being in the fitness industry, is like, man, I get to, like, with my nutrition clients, I get to like dissect people's lives. And, hospitals are wonderful, obviously, but you're trying to mass produce healthcare. And so, like, with my nutrition clients, it's so intimate and personal, and I can really dissect people's hurdles and where they struggle, and figure out how we can fix like your eating habits, your workout habits, finding something that you like to do. And then just like having the platform that I've been given, and so grateful for it. It's like I can share my journey and be vulnerable with my journey of like the ups and downs, the highs, the lows, and use all of that to like truly help people change their lives, and it's like, this is what I want. This is how I want to help people, like nursing's great, but that wasn't what I had in mind when I thought that I wanted to help people,
Yeah.
So.
Well, Niki and I both need help on nutrition, so we'll hit you up after this.
I'm non-compliant.
We actually don't need it. We don't need help. We actually just need you to come by and slap our hands every time we pick up a donut. Or
that's what I need. That's what I really need. I like pick up momentum and I'm like, ooh, lost a pound. Better have a donut.
Right.
I tell you what I've done, Niki. I just put a full-length mirror on my refrigerator. That solved the problem.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
God. That's a terrible and wonderful idea.
Totally works. Totally works.
My little sister's like, I just walk around in my bikini and then I don't eat the food because I don't want to be fat in my bikini.
Not a
It's
terrible
also not
idea.
a bad idea. We just walk around the house naked, but then you get really comfortable with it and you're like, well, his pot belly's been out all day, so
I'm a big proponent of tracking food to not cheat, or I hate to use the word cheat, to keep yourself accountable to eating properly. Like we had Chick-fil-A for dinner tonight. It was awesome, by the way. The Lord makes fantastic waffle fries, and but I've tracked everything I've eaten today, so I know exactly what I have left, calorie wise, macro wise, whatever. To get through to the end of the day. And my youngest daughter, the daughters came over, and Megan's like, hey, I'm lobbying for Chick-fil-A tonight. I'm like, I'm in, I'm all set. Let's go. I think there's real power in that,
And that's what is awesome about counting macros is like, you can have that dietary freedom, to have a treat, and you make it fit. And, it's balance, John, balance. Okay.
It was delicious too, I might add.
I love Chick-fil-A, and I literally could like just eat the chick sauce.
Yes, we had that too. Do you
guys know that I've never been to a Chick-fil-A?
What?
I know.
They don't have them in Rhode Island, though, do they?
I think they opened like one. It's like in Warwick somewhere.
Seriously?
I've never been. No, it's not like a New England chain.
It's not. But man, it is so good.
It's really good.
Wow, it is so good. Yeah, the Lord's waffle fries. They're so good. Oh,
right.
It's so
Maybe
good.
I'll see if they have a drive-through window. I'll do some drive-through quarantining, Chick-fil-A testing.
Yeah, it's all drive-through. The girl in the drive-through tonight had a mask on. It was like really humorous to me. I'm like,
but you guys, I feel like drive-throughs are like drive-through COVID contraction. You know, like I feel like, I don't know, like those people come into contact with so many people.
Well, no, I'm not going to sleep tonight.
I was just having this conversation with someone. No, I was just having this conversation with someone because they said the same thing. They were like, ugh, like is drive-through any better really? Because like someone's touching the thing that's touching your car. And I'm like, well, no one's coughing on me. Like I'm 6 feet away because I went through the drive-through coffee window the other day. And my car was far away enough that like we did like the ET touch hands from more than 6 feet. Yeah. And like no one coughed on me. And then I thought to myself, well, if they coughed on my cup, then how is that different from like if I order pizza and they leave it on my doorstep? Like I might not have contact with them, but they touched the thing that I touched. So I was like, meh, if I'm okay with Uber Eats, then I'm okay with the drive-through. That was my rationale.
Yeah.
It seemed fine. I went through the drive-through. She had a mask on. She was wearing gloves. She took my order. She swiped the card, gave it back to me. I Purelled. We drove through. They handed me a plastic bag. They said, it's been our pleasure to serve you. And I leaned over and I licked her on the cheek and I drove off. It was perfect. It seemed sanitary to me. I don't know what the problem was.
Yeah.
I get it though, because I have to do the rationalization to make sure that it makes sense to me.
It's so crazy.
Weird.
Yeah. And I'm just like, what? Like, how is it ever going to go away? And I'm not like worrying about it. It's just like a funny thought to ponder. Like I'm just so curious to see how the next year goes,
We have those conversations in my house constantly because
Mhm.
the pharmacist and my husband is always
Mhm.
like evaluating like how this is actually going to affect, like pandemics are like their thing. I don't know, pharmacists like
Right.
that's
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
come alive. This is where they shine. So he's always telling me about how like, even when there's a vaccine, like it may or may not matter the way we have a flu vaccine, but people get the flu every year, and how like if you get it once, that doesn't mean that you won't get it again. Like even if the antibodies build up, it doesn't necessarily matter. And every day he's basically just like, we're all going to be wearing masks for like 2 years, like
Right.
while we figure this shit out. Really.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
God,
crazy.
really? I get it, but
Ugh.
God.
And then it's taking, they said what, a year for a vaccine for this? So it's like
At least, yeah.
crazy.
I mean, it's fine. I don't mind working from home.
This is true. Okay, yeah, you're right. Like I just said to my dad today, I'm like, man, like I don't want this to end, And my dad's
know.
furloughed right now. Luckily he's 65. He'll be 65 in December, I think. And so he is on the verge of retirement. And so he's been crunching all his numbers to see if he does eventually get terminated, can he retire? But him and I were just like, man, like this home life it's just, I don't want it to end.
I know, me either. Like I really would like something to happen for games. That would be cool. Like as a fan, I want to watch it. As a media person, I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, the top 10 or top 20 athletes or however they get you guys out there, if it comes to, if they were to invite me and they were like, hey, can you get on a plane at the end of August or the beginning of September? Like, I do think I would do that.
Yeah.
But that's assuming that we keep trending in a positive direction and I stay healthy, and I know I'm not like, I've already committed to like not seeing my mom until everything just blows over, because she's obviously, older and in that age bracket. So I'm kind of like, I get it and I'll be safe, but I'm also not sure.
I know.
Yeah, it's weird.
So weird.
Well, I look good in a mask, so I'm okay with it.
You're all set.
I'm all set. I am totally set. The whole thing is so weird though. Like mostly just because I feel so like I'm getting disconnected with people, and like the people I like to follow aren't traveling like they used to. Like I follow your buddy Alec, obviously, and I chat with him a lot, and he's not traveling as much as he was, and I live vicariously through him. So it's not as much fun now,
However, he's been traveling of the most of anybody I know during all this. He went up to Minnesota for a little while, and he was we were laughing because he was like, I'm home and it's really boring and my whole family thinks I have COVID, so they don't even want to see me, and he's got 3 little new nieces. All he wants to do is play with his little nieces, and his brothers are like, no, because you're from New York and you probably have COVID, so he's getting all mad about that. So he's like, he wanted to go up to Minnesota to visit a friend, and he was like, should I risk getting on a plane right now? And I'm like, Alec, like, just stop.
The answer is no.
Yeah, but he did, and then he flew back home. I was like, why don't you just come to Missouri for a little while and hang out with me? But he went home. But that was the right choice for him to go home.
Yeah, that makes sense. we talking to them soon, aren't we?
Yeah, Monday. He'll be on a Monday.
Alec will?
Be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Today, actually, appropriately, his story was funny today. He did a Q&A, and somebody said, what's your favorite body part on the opposite sex? And he posted booty pics of Jess, like a couple of Jess and a couple of
Danny, and the other
Danny. Yeah.
Because he
appropriate.
He sent that to me, and he sent it to me, and he was like, booty. And I was like, this is hilarious because all of your best girlfriends have like big booties in CrossFit. And he's like, oh my gosh. He's like, send me your favorite booty pics. And I'm like, he's like,
you're like, cool.
He's like, I'm going to do this TMI question until I get it again so I can make this video.
You're like, let me just go back into my like favorites folder of butt pics. One sec.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I'm not one to post booty pics. So I had to like go through my like tag pictures, and I'm like, all right, here you go.
You have to, though. You have to take control of that situation. Otherwise, he's just gonna find one that he wants to post.
And that was the other thing. It's like I have control over what pictures you post in this post, which, it's like, hey, the Lord has blessed me with a round bum. It is a part of me. So you know what? If there are some pictures of it, so be it.
Embrace it.
And it's not going
I
to be
think
there
that's-
forever either, you know? So
Yeah. That's the same thing that John says about his butt every day.
right.
It's going to be there forever. Forever. It will live forever. It's true.
Too good.
I know. It was funny though, as he was posting it, he did not post that. You guys have a pic together that's borderline iconic now from the last games where you guys are hugging as a team, which is like a really cool picture. And I don't know whose hand was on whose butt, but somebody's got somebody's hand.
No, he put that one on there. It was the last
Did he?
picture posted.
Oh.
It's his favorite picture.
All right, so
Oh, really?
it's
Have
a
you seen
great
it,
pic.
Nikki?
No, I'm looking at it right now.
It is
Hold
the
on.
funniest picture.
It is
Ever.
like, I'm telling you, that pic is like borderline iconic in CrossFit. Like well, mostly it's like, it's such a great team pick. And then the humor of the hand on the butt makes it even
Yeah.
funnier.
Yeah, because the scenario was, it was the 1K swim, and I had never swam a 1K ever. So I was super nervous about that event. And so, you know, coming out of the water, they had all beat me out of the water, obviously. So I'm coming out of the water and I'm sprinting to the finish because I am freaking pumped that I just swam a 1K. And so, you know, they're all waiting there ready to hug me. And then I guess because Cody and Camille went to my shoulders, Alec then went and put his hand around my lower half, which then his hand so nicely placed on my butt cheek, and someone snapped a picture of it. And it is just, we laughed so hard when we saw that picture.
That's like the perfect personification of your team.
It is like
you guys go high, I'll go low. That's good. No worries.
And there's just no boundaries with any of us. Like we're like brothers and sisters, you know. It's like there's no such thing as inappropriate with us.
And your team was so much fun to watch because of that. I mean, you know, and nothing against Rich and his team, because, you know, Mayhem's always great, but, you know, Mayhem is like real kind of stoic to me. Like, you know, they real disciplined and, you know, you can just see it in them. And you guys were fun. Like, you're also disciplined and fantastic athletes, but just really like fun to watch, you know, and you could tell really like each other, which, you know, made for really fun games this year, I think, or last.
Which, you know, because we went to Rogue and we got last place. And so kind of funny behind the scenes, like Cody, Alec, and I were like, what did we just sign up for? Like, we knew, you know, Camille's won the games and she's great, but did we just make a mistake by having Camille on our team? And, you know, so there was a split second there where we were like, oh no, was this a bad idea? Yeah. But no, it ended up being, we freaking just, and like Camille and I stayed in the room together during the week of the games, and her and I just had like so many good, fun experiences. And then her husband, Dave, like,
he's awesome.
He's awesome. But, you know, just being transparent, like I was a little nervous going into the week of the games just because it is so intense and you have to stay focused. And Dave is just such a personality. And Camille was like, so Dave's going to be staying in the room with us. And I'm like, no, he's not. You know, no. And she was like, oh, okay. I was like, Cam, I love you, but if we're going to be successful in competing, like in hindsight, it would have been fine. And I love Dave and Camille so much, but like leading up to it all, I was definitely like, I hope that I can handle the you know, height of the personality.
Totally.
But they are both like so precious and near and dear to my heart, and like would do it all again, staying in the same room on top of each other, you know.
100%.
How long ago was it? They were on a few weeks ago, and
just a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
And Dave, I get what you're saying. Like Dave is so over the top. He's the guy I want to just go have a beer with and just hang out. But after an hour, I'd be so burnt out because I can't keep up with them. You know?
You want to hear
that kind of personality like gives me life. Like I can like vibe off of that hard.
And that's what I found. I was nervous, John, that it would burn me out, but I found that like, no, Dave and I like vibe, and like he gives me life. He does. Yeah. Hilarious Dave story. So when we went to Rogue, I met Cammie at the airport. Our flights got in at the same time. And like, obviously Camille and I have competed side by side, but we weren't really friends at that point. Like we had just known each other in the space and running in the same circles. And so met her at the airport, and so we're just catching up and just small talking, waiting for our bags. And have you guys heard this story? And she FaceTimes Dave.
No.
And she FaceTimes Dave just to say, hey, like, I made it. I'm safe. I'm with Jess. And I'm like, hey, Dave, on FaceTime. And he's laying in bed. And Cammie's like, Dave, like, it's only 4:00 in Colorado. Like, why are you in bed? And he's like, oh, you want me to show you? And she's like, ooh, Jess, like, he's going to show me the dogs. Like, look. So she, like, looks. She, like, holds the phone so I can see it. And he just, like, puts the phone down, and she thinks he's going to show the dogs at the end of the bed. Literally, he's laying in bed naked, and I see Dave's penis.
Nice.
It's just a giant dick pic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Again, like, I know Camille, but, like, not that well.
Wow.
From that moment on, you were sisters.
Oh, so Dave's favorite thing is, hey, Cam,
Man.
what do you and Jess have in common? And she's like, we've both seen your penis, Dave.
Wow. I mean, he kind of showed you the dogs, kind of, I guess, right? I guess.
But, like, that is Dave for you. Like, that is picture perfect Dave Lipson for you.
Oh, my cheeks hurt. That's perfect.
He was like, he's never done that. Like, I don't know why he did that.
I feel left out now.
Sure.
I feel left out. I'm gonna text him and tell him to send me a dick pic real quick, just so I can get in on the story.
I know he didn't do that when we were recording the podcast.
I know.
And, like,
He was wearing
luckily,
pants the whole time.
Luckily, being a nurse, like, a penis is not, like, that mind-blowing to me. Like, I've seen, my fair share in my nursing career. But, man, that was, like, was not expecting that, Dave. Too good.
Oh my God, I'm dead.
I'm trying to rein in the questions right now. I'm gonna let the story lie. We're gonna let sleep.
Just leave it.
We're gonna let sleeping penises lie.
I am made of questions.
I honestly like don't like. I kind of like blacked it out. So like I don't even have like any answers for you if you were looking for like aesthetics or anything.
Nope.
Like it's just I've like completely blocked that image out of my mind.
Oh.
Oh man.
Now I can't get the image out of my mind. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Damn
It's really not where I thought that the story was going, because I thought he was going to be like, well, when you're not here and I'm just living this bachelor life, like I go to bed at 4 p.m., which I was going to be like, oh, weird. That's what happens in my house too. Like when I'm traveling, like Matt like warms up fish sticks from the freezer and like goes to bed early. And it's like, we're totally the same. No, not the same. Not the same.
You know, I'm going to title this podcast Jessica Griffith and the Story of Dave Lipson's Penis.
It's a great podcast title.
I think
most downloads ever.
Yes. Like a bazillion downloads.
What does Jessica Griffith know about Dave Lipson's penis?
Everything. The answer is everything.
Yes.
Everything.
The answer is everything.
Too good.
I feel like that's a perfect note to end on.
I do too.
Like let's just sail off into the distance on Dave Lipson's penis.
That's a sentence I never thought I'd hear you say, but okay.
Dave, you're welcome, Dave. You're welcome.
Seriously.
I know. Well, Jess, I'm glad you're well.
You guys too.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for coming on and just catching up and, staying sane in quarantine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me and asking me to do this.
Yeah, no, this is great. And we appreciate it. And to everyone listening, make sure you tell your friends the penis story. This is important.
Of course.
I'm gonna call my mom as soon as we hang up here and make sure she knows. And everyone, but besides that, everyone stay safe in quarantine. Niki and I will be back probably tomorrow, and we will chat with all of you guys soon. Take care.
Yay! See you guys.